Hello again, and welcome back. Uh, Today, first of all, I want to tell you a short story. Well, it's not really a story; it's an experience type thing. Anyway, on Facebook, I encountered someone who was writing a book about a Dutch knife fighting game, and this was a historical thing. This had been played well way back into the 17th, 16th century, and he was basically looking for people who were willing to reproduce that style of knife. And so in the end, it was suggested that a couple of knife makers come up with a design. And I was one of those knife makers who decided to work on that. So I want to show you that design today. Now the game originally uh, consisted of each player holding the knife in one hand, usually the right one, and maybe their coat or a hat in the other to defend with. And the winner of the game was the person to first draw blood from the head of the other. So this was not a game to the death. This was not a lethal game, but it could get fairly dangerous. I mean, there's eyes there, and there's a couple of veins that could get in the way. But in general, there were not very many fatalities in this game. And the knives that were used, especially in the 17th and 18th century, were were pretty close to knives that they would use for eating and general other purpose type stuff. And so I tried to come up with a knife in that style, and I'll provide a link in the video underneath the video to the blog of the man who's writing the book, and you'll see examples of this, and you'll understand what I was going for. So without further ado, let me show you the knife. So I went with a simple pocket style sheath, and the reason I did that is because that was the most carried type of sheath in that time. And I went with a leather, natural color leather, because I figured these were workman's knives, and workman's knives in general, dyed sheaths would be more expensive, I figured. I don't know if this is true per se, but that's just my train of thought. And so I made that a very simple sheath, and the blade is a sheep's foot blade out of C100 steel, which is a carbon steel fairly close to the American 1095 standard. But I did that, and you can see a simple hardening line, which is a nice detail, because I etched the blade afterwards because I wanted to make it look like it was a user knife. I wanted to give it a bit of a dark color, so that you could get the feeling that whoever this knife belongs to, this was something they would use on a daily purpose for cutting their food, or cutting ropes, or cutting cloth, or vegetables out of the garden, or really anything around the house that was needed. And so that's what I went for, and the sheep's foot blade is just a common blade style at that time. And apart from that, I went with a Wenge handle and a brass collar, or spacer, or guard. I'm not 100% sure what you would call this. And the Wenge, I carved a spiral pattern in for both added grip and because it fitted the style of that knife in that period. And engraved in the blade you will see the word Stavast, which means to stand fast or hold fast, which was the term that they used to start the duel. Like the French would say en garde, on your guard. The Dutch would say Stavast, and then the duel would commence. And on the other side, of course, my name. So I hope you enjoyed this. Personally, I really think that Wenge wood is really nice. I think it came out rather well. I quite like it. Oh, and there's a nickel silver pin in there. Small nickel silver pin. So I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe see you next time. Have a great day.
Hoe groot is je reikwijdte?